to move now.
Tell us a little bit about 91 Place and the services you offer.
We are an organization that serves youth experiencing homelessness. We do so through three primary methods of residential housing is what we started with. And we've recently added workforce development and mental health care as well. So we serve between the ages of 16 and 24. And in each of our houses, we can house up to 4 youth at a time.
That's awesome. And what was the why? What is the why behind why this all came to be?
Yeah, so I was actually a case manager for youth experiencing homelessness through another nonprofit in the city. And I was just realizing this lack of housing that was in Indianapolis, whether it was affordable housing, transitional housing, these youth just had nowhere to go. And so it was towards the end of my first year doing this that I started asking the question, if you could have one thing that would change everything, what would it be? Expecting them to say a house so that I could then go back to my CEO at the other nonprofit and be like, everyone says they need a house, let's do housing, I'll run it, it'll be great. I had zero desire to start my own nonprofit or anything. But instead, almost every time they said a family. And it was like this light bulb moment for me of like, housing can't just be a place to stay. Like it has to be relational. And so that was kind of it's the foundation of what we do. Redemptive relationships is the core of who we are in all of our programming. Such a wide variety of reasons that youth can start experiencing homelessness. A majority of the time, the home is just an unsafe place for them to be in, whether that is the parent asking them to leave, or they decide to leave for their own safety. Whether that's like drugs, alcohol, mental illness at home, just some sort of variety of abuse. A lot of times our youth come from families that are very large. And so when they turn 18, it's just like, we can't afford to house you anymore. So now you're going to be on your own. Where we all know that when you're 18, you're not an adult. I called my mom until I was 25 pretty much every day for like everything that I needed. And so a lot of times our youth, they just experience abandonment in some variation. Whether that is, we've had situations where the youth is in high school and they come home from school one day and their family just moved out of state without them. And it's just like, okay, now you're like actually on your own. Like this apartment no longer belongs to you and you have no family here. And so it's like, every story is so different. Where, we have a lot of youth that age out of foster care and are homeless, or even like failed foster care adoptions where like maybe they were adopted when they were younger, like 5 or 6 or 7, but then they turn 18 and their adoptive family is like, okay, we're done with this. And so we've had a lot of experiences of like the youth themselves not doing anything in particular, but it's just the family decides to sever the relationship. And so different forms of abandonment, I would say, are probably the primary reason that youth experiencing homeless.
I got to see the therapy center.
Mm-hmm.
Specific, and remind me what you call the bed.
Biosound.
Biosound. All right. So tell us a little bit about the concept behind that.
Yes. So Biosound therapy is an innovative type of therapy. It's being studied to make it an evidence-based practice currently. So it uses binaural beats and like vibrations on the bed to stimulate the vagus nerve and bring the body out of fight or flight. So it is used to treat so many different types of symptoms that are in the body from mental illnesses. So it's used to treat depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, even things like if you're trying to quit smoking or various amounts of anything addictive. It can treat cravings, anger, muscle tension, chronic pain. And so what it does is there's different binaural beats for each type of symptom or ailment that your body might be facing. And so let's say that you're struggling with anxiety. There's different binaural beats that'll target parts of the brain that release oxytocin and will reduce the anxiety symptoms that you're feeling. And so it's not meant to replace talk therapy. It's used to be in conjunction or as like an immediate relief.
What else is offered at the therapy center?
Yeah, so right now we do talk therapy for our residents. And so it's been really cool to see that, with having our own therapists, the amount of time they're able to spend and the different types of therapy they're able to do. So all of the therapists that we hire are trauma informed. And so they use different modalities to be able to make therapy more comfortable. So they can do walk and talk therapy. We have equestrian therapy options. There's EMDR and brain spotting and like all these different types of therapies that they can engage in. So right now that's what the therapy center is, but we're actively working to expand it to be able to see more community members, referrals and stuff like that.
That's great. Is there anything I didn't ask you that the world needs to know?
Maybe the third part of our programming, the workforce development piece. We recently acquired Needhammer Coffee Co. That is our workforce development program for our youth, so our residents can work there as baristas and develop skills so that long-term they can sustain like career-type jobs. And so we're really excited about that and are also working on like different components of workforce development of a curriculum and hoping long-term that we can expand to different industries so that the youth have a choice of like, where would you want to work? What type of job would you want to do until we can find what they want to do long-term?
What does life after 91 Place look like?
Life after 91 Place looks like independent living is the hope for them. The issue that we run into is the lack of affordable housing in Indianapolis. And so our goal is not for all of our alumni to be using social services the rest of their life. That's not what we want for them. We don't want them to have to go on Section 8. We don't want them to have to be on Medicaid or using food stamps. Like we want them to be like independent members of society that aren't relying on those kinds of services. And so until we can figure out this affordable housing piece, I think we're going to keep having pretty consistent issues with like our alumni transitioning into independence because we don't want to set them up in an apartment where they can't pay the rent and they're going to get an eviction. So our goal long-term is to have some sort of aftercare housing that we can implement ourselves so that they would spend 2 years in our program, 2 years renting, and then we're cultivating partnerships with INHP and Habitat for Humanity so that they can enter into homeownership. So like very long-term, we hope that our youth will become homeowners because our goal is to end generational poverty and chronic homelessness. And like we believe one of the best ways to do that is through real estate because most of our youth, their families have never owned a home in like the entire generational lineage. And so we believe that giving them that piece of stabilization would be like transformational for their family forever.
Totally. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Thank you again for sitting down with us. Absolutely. Love what you're doing. I think it's awesome. And it's why we wanted to partner, real estate.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Kind of something we know a little something about. So
definitely.
Thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah.
Stream-a-thon continues on. We are so excited now to have the chance to talk with Corinne Adamowitz, who is development and communications is what you're down for 91 Place, right?
Yes.
So what does that mean that you're doing on a day in, day out basis?
Oh my goodness. So spreading the word about 91 Place and the work happening at 91 Place.
Yep.
Connecting with our generous donors. I also interact often with our current residents and then former residents.
Sure.
So I have the best of both worlds to work directly with youth and then also with generous people.
To spread the word.
Yeah.
I love it. So from your website, it says 91 Place is a transitional housing program serving youth facing homelessness ages 16 to 24. Is that right? 16 to 24? Is it 17 to 22? I think I saw a couple of different things.
You probably have seen a couple of things. We've grown a lot. And so we just opened our third house, which will be home to 16 and 17-year-olds very soon.
Yeah.
And so now we have 3 houses in Indianapolis serving all the way from 16 to 24.
Nice.
So you're just a logistical question, a legal question. So most people would say that you're not an adult till you're 18. Therefore, you would fall into maybe foster care or something if you're below. So 16 to 17, how is it that you guys can facilitate somebody that's as young as 16 years old?
A lot of red tape.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we are navigating and seeking legal counsel, and we have been for the last while.
For each individual person or
as an organization?
Each case is individualized.
Okay.
I mean, it just depends on the child and where they are. That age demographic is kind of this forgotten population. It takes a long time once they're tied up with child services. And so it's definitely a need, though.
Yeah. How is it that the kids that have the need, and I don't want to just say kids because there's obviously you said up to 24 and depends on the process, but how is it that they're finding you? How are they finding your support?
Sadly, there is no lack of need.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, well, when we got started, a lot of our referrals came from case managers at high schools. Jenna, our founder, who we just saw, used to be a case manager at another organization in town that served homeless youth, and she was working with high school girls. And so high school counselors, high school case managers will often refer. Right now, a lot of self-referrals come in. Our wait list is quite long. Unfortunately, we have a retention rate right now. The kids stay with us. The youth stay with us for around 15 months.
Okay.
They can live with us for up to 2 years. The longer we have them, the deeper the impact we can have.
Sure.
But yeah, so anyways, the problem with that wait list is that it's quite long and we don't have a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
And so when it comes time when we have a space that opens up, oftentimes the youth will have found other options for housing in the meantime, or their circumstances have changed. So the wait list can take quite some time.
So we talk about housing, and I think that a lot of times people think it's just a roof over the head and maybe a bed and some meals or whatnot. It sounds like you guys are much more than that. And there's a depth to it that they don't realize is out there. What else are you guys doing for them?
Without a doubt. So redemptive relationships is at the core of everything that we're doing. That the roof overhead is necessary to be able to, we need to meet those basic needs first so that we can then address different issues. So our programming is based on 7 components of wellness. I have them written down so that I don't forget them because I will usually repeat them.
Sure.
Yeah, but physical wellness, social wellness, environmental, educational, occupational, financial, and then mental, emotional wellness.
Okay.
So when the youth enter into our programs, it's a collective effort between our house mentors, our therapists, our case manager, our programs director, all work together with the youth to identify what are the top needs, which areas of wellness do we need to address first. So if a youth has a medical issue, say, that is impacting their lives in a negative way, we need to address that first before we can get to, say, educational wellness.
Right. Yeah.
If they come to us and they don't have a high school diploma, we will work with them to finish that high school diploma or GED certificate. In addition to housing, though, we have a workforce development program. So in April, we took over Needhammer Coffee Company down on East Washington Street.
Oh, yeah.
And some of our youth are employed there. They go through a workforce development curriculum. It's not tough to get our youth jobs.
Yeah.
But it's a little challenging to help them keep jobs.
Is it?
So it's a trauma-informed situation. So we use every interaction, positive or negative, as a learning opportunity.
Sure.
Where a particular event or something that happens at work might cause firing in another job, we'll use that to teach from.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool program.
Yeah.
And we have seen, it's only been since April since we took over, but it's amazing the growth and maturity that we've seen with the youth so far.
Really?
One of our youth used to live with us, and she doesn't live with us anymore, but we can also employ other youth facing homelessness or housing insecure youth. And so she's working for us, and it has been incredible to watch her grow and mature over the last few months in that role.
Yeah.
The youth right now, I hate to use the word competing, but it kind of is what they're doing for a shift lead position right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so they have different benchmarks that they have to hit to qualify for that shift lead position. So it's just, they are rising to the occasion.
That's
pretty
so
amazing.
cool. That's neat. So, I think one of the most critical things about this whole conversation is when you think about people ages 16 to 24, those formative years of your life, you're literally going from being a child or a minor to an adult. And think about, like, if you're just living your regular life, that is a very tricky period of your life, because you're figuring out, who am I? Who are my people? what am I going to do in my life? So even if you don't have challenges, if the way is paved for you, if you have been blessed to not lack, right? It's still challenging to self-actualize like that. To take away that security and that stability, and now not only are you not stable, you don't have basic needs, but you're also trying to navigate figuring out who you are 16 to 24. That's crazy. And that's why I think what you guys are doing is so critical, because you're providing those needs so that then youth can figure out more about who they are and aspire to bigger things, and don't just have to think about, well, where am I going to sleep tonight?
Yeah, it's really important. We are coming at them from all different angles and surrounding them with support. And it truly is a collaborative effort among our staff, and then community mentors as well.
Yeah. Well, and the workforce, those skills you learn in employment are incredible.
Yeah.
That is a big, that you have to be there on time, and you have to learn a skill, and then it's working with other people and all the things you have to learn. That's an incredible skill. But I also saw you guys do, you work with different types of therapy as well.
Yeah.
Kind of on the back end for them personally. Tell us a little bit about what you provide.
Yeah, so we have a therapy center that our youth they can see our therapist as often as needed. And so amazingly enough, we just received a grant that's going to expand those therapy services to serve not only our youth, but to also the rest of the community.
That's awesome.
So where our office is currently located at 10th and Rural, it's a therapy desert. So it's tough to get therapy services over there, especially for people that are challenged with transportation.
Sure.
And so this grant will allow us to serve not only our youth, but other people.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
Cool.
And
That's very cool.
We're looking for a larger office space so we can. Okay. We're in the process of hiring a couple more therapists as well to help.
Wow.
So,
Hey, you guys are growing. I mean, that's a lot of stuff we just talked about in 5 minutes. You know, another house, a business to have the kids work in, the youth work in, therapy services. I mean, that's a lot. You guys are growing.
It's a lot. You asked if we were busy before we went on air, and yes, we are busy. We're quite busy. Yes. Yeah.
I always feel like people need to know. They're not need to know. There's certain people that really need to know like where their money's going. So we've explored all the things you offer, but when the money comes in, what is it supporting? Is it to hire those new therapists? Is it to build a house?
Operating costs are high.
Yeah.
There's a lot of support that we offer the youth, so the overhead is expensive. And then honestly, one of our biggest line items is groceries.
Really?
Wow.
We grocery shop just like everybody else.
These kids,
They can eat, boy. They can cram some marshmallows in their mouth, Todd. Am I right? They sure can.
They can put them away.
Yeah. If you think about it, in each house, we have 6 adults. So 4 youth plus 2 live-in house mentors.
Really?
So that's 6 mouths per house of adults. And then we have 3 houses. So groceries are a huge line item for us.
We have some half-size adults at our house, and they are
still eat a lot, right?
They eat a lot.
I mean,
that's right.
A lot.
That's
Kids
crazy.
put the food down at home.
They do. They sure do.
Well, listen, we appreciate all that you're doing for the youth in this community, and we're excited about the future and all the things that you are going to do. For people that want to learn more, want to connect with you, want to get involved with you directly, where would you send them to learn more?
91place.org.
91place.org.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like
Karina Domowitz, everybody. Hey, good job. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. We have an hour 15 left in this year's Stream-a-thon. We've got more fun coming up, so stick around. We will be back with more from the Fun Cocktail Hour. Yeah. Todd's going to go talk to some people. It's going to be fun.
Let's do it.
Come back right after this as we continue on with Stream-a-thon.